How's it going, everybody? And today, they just released more stuff about Omega and voice lines. Now, if you remember from my last video, Omega's render is out now, and he's looking pretty clean. He also has some, pretty robotic voice lines that match his character and match the overall big robot kind of feel. But his moves right now in the gameplay are just ripped from Neo Metal Sonic. That's just, temporary, obviously, because having a Neo Metal Sonic in-game would be substantially overpowered, and I'm pretty glad that Omega isn't just going to be a reskinned Neo Metal, as I'm sure we all are. But Omega is looking clean, especially in his new gameplay, and he's going to be sitting at a solid 300 HP. Now, it looks like a lot of HP, but realistically, Metal with the resistance, that's like 225, so it's not too much, especially in like Metal's LMS, where that ramps up to 75% resistance, and Metal's got like 700 HP more. Really, Omega isn't that bad. He has half the health of a Metal LMS, and he's one-shot like Metal, because they're both robots, so I suppose they both explode. Or at least I'm assuming he's one-shot. It wouldn't make a lot of sense if you revive one of the robots and one of the robots explode. It would be a little bit weird. Especially because Omega has that big health pool, so if he got revived, that would just be completely unfair. But I don't think they're going to take that route with him. He's looking like more of a slugger, a brute, per se. He's looking strong, and that looks like it's going to be his role. He's going to be able to absorb damage. But from what I've seen, in his new voice lines, he's got some kind of self-healing feature. And I'm hoping this isn't too overpowered, because he does have 300 health, which is a lot of health. And if he could just heal that up really quick, then there really isn't a good way for the EXE to deal with this. Now, I'm hoping they do something a little bit different with this kind of mechanic. Something to do with the mechanics. Something that makes the healing more gradual, rather than super fast like Metal Sonic. Maybe a slow ticking, or something that ticks faster with other mechanics. But overall, I think that taking the traditional tank approach when it comes to games like this, where tanks are really only good with supports, would be a great idea here. You see, with Point 2 coming out, character like Eggman and, Tails without his pickup ability, they aren't quite as useful as they used to be. Tails Doll can jump up right behind Eggman and do any loop he can, and Colossus could just climb walls. So a character like Eggman has lost a lot of versatility, and Tails, people say he's a bit of an underwhelming support. So with just that laser that you get every 1 minute, which it is nice to have that stun, but one stun every minute, that's kind of slow, and it's not a lot of versatility. I know Tails does have a planned pickup move coming in the future, but right now he doesn't have that, so it would be nice to give him a little bit of versatility. I'm thinking that maybe the supports can stand next to him, kind of like Amy's Sunshine card, where whenever Amy's standing next to survivors, it heals them gradually over time. I think that giving Omega the kind of heal that Metal Sonic had would be a little bit overpowered. He has 300 HP after all, and maybe capping it at maybe like 220 after he takes that amount of damage would be pretty fair, or something around there. Or maybe he has some kind of weak spot where if he gets hit on his back, he takes more damage. Of course, I'm sure they'll find a way around it. Maybe they make Omega's moves do damage to him. But it would be nice to see the mechanics, Tails and Eggman, getting a little bit more versatility, kind of like the way that when they're standing next to Metal and he's healing, they're pretty useful. Metal heals a lot faster, and most matches against a good killer, Metal isn't very useful without one of those mechanics by his side to heal him up really quick and get him back into battle. So I think possibly using that mechanic for Omega would be kind of cool, and it would overall give him that kind of tank feel, as whenever you play tanks in other games, like, for example, Overwatch, you're not nearly as strong whenever you don't have those supports backing you up, and it makes you feel like a real powerhouse whenever you can always just go in, hit some shots, and then get out and know that there's another way to get some of that health back that you may have lost. I think maybe they could balance this out by giving Omega damage, as I said before, whenever he uses some of his moves. I think 300 health just starting as a tank role might be a little bit underwhelming, and just having a big sponge walk around all the time isn't really that appealing to me personally. But Omega has a lot of potential, and I'm sure the devs won't throw it away, and I'm sure they'll cook something up, and it would be cool to see some of those mechanics, but overall, I think I'll be happy with whatever design Omega gets in the future. Regardless, let's take a listen to some of these voice lines to get an overall feel of what kind of character we'll be dealing with in the future.
Unexpected location detected. Mission failure is not an option. Analyzing location data. Fight me. Destroy. System reboot. Full power. Initiating self-recovery mode. Self-recovery initiated. Watch my back. Weak. I will end you. Sonic the Hedgehog. Defeated.
As you can see, those are just a few of Omega's very many voice lines, which sound pretty cool, and I'm liking them, and I can't wait to see the final product. But if you want to listen to the rest of them, I will be leaving the link down in the description, so feel free to do so. But besides that, that'll wrap up the video. Feel free to leave a comment down below about what your opinions on Omega is, and that'll wrap it up. I'll see you guys in the next one.